Hey guys, Reyfar here, and today I'm going to talk about Heat, more specifically Heat 1, which is the first in the line of Heats published in 2003. And like my history on the whole saga behind Heat is a bit kind of, I always half forget it. I know in the back of the acknowledgements it mentioned like it came off the heels of Amphilations, which is another flagship title of Sofawolf Press. And they were looking for a more kind of serious, kind of literary short story magazine style publication. And Heat went through like a lot of kind of early ideas and concepts, and then they ended up together with this, and they said like the main thing that remained was the name and the cover art, and like the rest was always up in the air. Which hopefully I wanted, because what I plan on doing is going through Heats all the way up till the current one, which is Heat 14, because Heat 13 was last year, and I just have a end up with a better idea and better description of Heat in general, other than like it's awesome, which it is. I mean, it's still, yeah, I'd still personally say it's hands down like the best thing produced in the fandom, and it's always great to see it come out every year and the hard work that goes into it every year by countless people contributing, both submitting and then the people behind the scenes that work on the layout and the art and the editing and all that. And so if I forget to thank someone, sorry and thank you. So yeah, so Heat came out in, well, Heat 1 came out in 2003, and it's, I would say it's kind of telling of what to come. It's, I wouldn't say it hasn't aged well, but it's definitely missing things that you see in later Heats. Like it's still got the main things, which are all there, and it's nice to see them continue after all these years. So yeah, the first Heat really is just short stories. There's one poem and there's one comic, and the comic is kind of a reprint because it's a webcomic just published, and it's a bit weird, which I'll talk about when I get to it. And then and yeah, you can very tell its roots. Whereas I guess the later Heats you could say are kind of a celebration of the best in yeah. I've just forgotten the word, so I'm just gonna go on. So yeah, and one interesting thing I actually want to pay attention when I read the next one is whether they kept this this Heat kind of rating. They got they got little pictures of chilies on the contents page saying how like hot the story is, quotation marks. And curiously, The Prisoner's Released by Carl Gold is 4 stars, but that's not, I wouldn't say it's dreadfully ironic. It's kind of dirty when you think about it. So yeah, so fuck. So yeah, I'll just fucking go into it at this point. So yeah, I'll just go into it. So the first story is Pearl by Lars Hellberg, which is an author I haven't really heard. I did have a quick check to see if they're still around. The Wikifur page was barren. They have a profile up on Furrag and a VCL, and they haven't been updated in like a decade at this point. So if they've changed their name, if someone knows who they are now, like tell me, like, because I do like the story. So Pearl is a very kind of normal story, like in terms of furry. young working wolf, working at a bar, whatever, one night, and it's storming. He's locked in. Or he's kind of locked in because no one's coming in and whatever. And he gets a mysterious guest, and then he falls in love with him, and sexual intercourse ensues between the two males. Sorry, if it's not obvious, it was a gay story. But aside from, I guess, kind of the foreseeable plot, I actually surprisingly liked the characters and I guess some of the descriptors. Like, aside from that, it's a very kind of normal story. I wouldn't really say it's exemplary at this stage. But, I mean, the characters still stick with me, so that's always good. And I can remember the two characters are Pearl and Chevron. I kept pronouncing it as Chevron in my head, even though it was not spelled that way. I quite liked the pairing. It was it was kind of just a slice in time kind of story, but was pretty interested to see where the author could take these characters aside from their initial meeting and fucking, because they did seem pretty kind of well built. Despite the kind of normal fantasy setting. I'm not sure what else to say about it, because it's very, normal. But it's definitely intriguing, even reading some of the stuff these days. This is one of those stories that, I would use as, a jumping off point to get into an artist's catalogue, or author's catalogue. And it's illustrated by really nice work done by Ayame. I can never pronounce her name. Ayame Imaya, something like those lines. Who I remember from my early days in the fandom and her artwork. I don't know if she's still around personally. I haven't looked at her stuff in a while, but it's nice kind of soft images and work done there. And I guess I'll go with this point how the layout's still there, at least kind of how do you put it? I guess what the layout that Heat's known for, you can see it develop in the early issue, in this early issue. Not so much this first story, but in the later stories where they have the art intercutting with the text, whereas in this first story, so it's a text and then art, and it's a bit it's a bit distracting. It's personally, when I'm reading the short story, I don't stop to look at the art, because whereas if it's I don't think intercut's the proper word, but indented, that's it, indented in the text, I pay attention to the art more there. That was a weird scene to do with smoking, in case you were wondering what the picture was. It was a nice little play about species and sensitive noses. And then, okay, so this is the first comic printed in Heat. Might I suggest, by Tim Sussman, who I am convinced is my Moriarty at this point. So for people that don't know, I only found out early this year, but it was announced publicly that Tim Sussman is Carl Gold's other his real name, but another name that he writes under. And I didn't notice. Wait, no. Okay, so now I'm super confused because underneath the title of the comic, it says that it's credited to Malin, but in the back of the book, it says the comic is credited to Tim Sussman. So, if someone wants to elaborate on that, or if I should just ignore the art right here. But it looks like it's signed Tim Sussman. But actually, I really like this comic, and it's pretty funny and cute. It's just basically about there's too many teenage pregnancies, so why not try being gay? And there's some pretty funny art to go with it. It's a kind of simple 6-panel comic, but it's definitely charming. Honestly, I'd pick up Heat just for this comic. I always remember it. But yeah, no, like, if it actually was done by Tim Sussman / Carl Gold, like, fuck me. uh, like, I'll get you one day. So the next story in it, the third piece in this heat, is, what's it called again? Is it Government Issue? Is that what it's called? Yeah, Government Issue. The typography on the illustration just confused me for a bit there. The illustrations, I'm not familiar with Aura Moser. I don't know if they're around. I really probably should have checked that as well. But I am familiar with Renee Carter Hall, and I actually really like this story. It's got a soft spot for me. The general gist is it's a story about these government engineered rabbits that encourage to sexually sexually reproduce because they're bred to be soldiers and they're trained to be soldiers, and then, you know, they're bunnies because they make lots of babies to be trained into more soldiers to die in a war as fodder. I'd say probably the hidden motive of the story, like the whole thing to do with the war and the breeding, is kind of just there. And I think a lot of the meat is to do with the characters, and I think, I guess what I say is, like, thinking about it, like, it is like a pretty strong story, but personally I'd like to see what she would do with a similar story to it these days, and like how much deeper she can go with these characters, and not these characters, like the ideas that she wants to put forward. But like, aside from that, I actually really like the story. And it's one that I've also remembered for a while. The sex in it is kind of just there. Like, it's kind of, it's there to service the plot. It's not really that raunchy. But I think there's little things like the clothing that interest me, and I'm not sure what else to say about it, really. Other than I just like it. Unfortunately, nothing really kind of jumps out. Like, oh yeah, this was really cool and that was awesome. Some of the illustrations are pretty cool because they what was it? They're breaking the rules by using condoms and anti-contraception methods. Yeah, and this one. I was reading this one at work the other day. So, like, you know, I don't know. So yeah, like, I was reading it in the break room, and then, like, one of the managers comes in. So, like, I immediately, like, you know, just being like, just holding my arm across one of the images. Like not that it's too kind of saucy, really, but it's just like, you know, it's questionable. So I'm there just, like, you know, half leaning over this, like, book, reading it. And the next thing in Heat Issue 1 is actually a really cool poem. The Quandary by Merrick Alexander Wolf, and illustrated by Cara Mitten. And I actually really like the art in this one. It's definitely striking. And I like how, not that I can critique much about poetry, I like how kind of the hidden meaning about the poem is that, like, it can both mean that he's got, like, an alcoholic, he's an alcoholic, and also that he's a werewolf. And yeah, I quite like it. I did want to work out what kind of structure the poem was written as, but I couldn't work it out. So yeah, moving on. Is the other comic entrance, Closet Coon, which is like just a print of a kind of middle arc, because I actually used to read Closet Coon back in the day. I mean, it's still up, it's still run. Like, I think I found it somewhere. I think I just found the guy's FA page, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool. And then, like, unfortunately, like, not much was added since last time I read, and I couldn't really remember where I was up to and what hook I was up to or whatever. But I do like Closet Coon. Like, there's actually a pretty funny joke here about his boyfriend, because he's a cheater and he's the first guy he had a crush on. It was like a gazelle, and he came on too fast. I do like it. I think, yeah, the last thing in Heat is the Prisoners Release Part 1, which illustrated by Torin Fox. He's still around as well. Another artist I found early days in the fandom. And I got this one signed by Kyle Gold himself when I was at Furdu recently. I didn't want to make him sign all my copies of Heat because I already brought all his books, but like, I picked one or two, and this was one of them because it's his first published story. And yeah, the Prisoners Release is still awesome. It holds up to these days. Like, though, if I had to talk about it critically, like compared to how good Kyle Gold's writing these days, you can see where it's kind of missing something. Like, in terms of like the depth of the dialogue and the descriptors, and just kind of the general mental image the text gives you. Because Kyle's writing these days definitely has something that obviously helps pop it out in your mind. But yeah, no, I always have a soft spot for Vol and Prisoners Release. More so Vol by itself, and then I think Shadow of the Father is a close second, and then yeah, the Prisoners Release, and then Pendant of Fortune, which is it's probably my least favourite because it's got a lot of Streak, and I don't like Streak. Like, I really hated him. Like, I'm like, oh, I liked Vol being like a cool spy, and Streak just wanted to take him away from that world, and I'm like, screw you. So yeah, for people that don't know, the Prisoners Release is the story that introduced everyone to Vol and Streak and how they met. And I mean, if you're familiar with Vol and the kind of the Argaea series, you'll notice that like a lot of the actually, if you reread the slightly more edited version that's in the Prisoners Release and other short stories, you'll notice there's depth added to his mission in parts and other things that are removed, and there's actually one character that's mentioned in this that isn't mentioned in the other printing. But I still like, it's still a really good short story, and not to say ilk about Pearl, the first story, but it's definitely a high level compared to that one, with, you know, the kind of the whole theme and structure of it, and the focus of it as a story. It's a lot higher in that regard. It's not so base, but that sounds so mean. Because, you know, it's dealing with someone that's a prisoner in a very kind of unglamorous and kind of dirty situation, being pseudo-forced to be raped by a guard who he then falls in love with, and then, spoilers, they escape. It's in the title. And there's a lot more going on there, especially between Vol, Streak, and the other two main characters. Yeah, I mean, it's fucking awesome. And that is Heat. Like, I think, you know, if I had to say one thing, like, if Kyle Gold wrote this story right now, there'd be a lot better description of just how filthy, like, Vol is, being in the cell for, like, 2 months, just his own filth. You know, it's horrible. Oh yeah, it's a medieval setting. I forgot to mention that. No, not medieval, Renaissance, or something like that. And the other two things that Heat is known for, um, to this day, is the Afterglow section and the animal magnetism, which always gets a good like chuckle out of me because I think like the night before last I was looking at it, I was like just reading it to myself and there's magnets like sexy yap and oh what's something so there's like a nasty wet hydrant I must lick and my dog will get no tit jobs. Oh wait, fuck. My dog will get no tit jobs, penis pumps, or butt shaving. He's like, worship his exquisite dog breath. And others. It is super cool. I think in later issues they outsourced it. Like they invited people to do their own, whereas this was done by the editors and producers of Heat. And they are, in the first issue, is Jeff Eddy is the managing editor, and the associate editors are Tim Sussman, Alopex, and J. Scott Rogers. And J. Scott Rogers I'm not familiar with. I should probably look him up and see where he is these days. And yeah. Oh, before I forget, Closet Coon was illustrated and written by Jeff Kuhn, and the cover illustration, which is a homage to the Power Station album cover, which I actually quite like. It's very striking. Was done by Derek Dazenbrock. So yeah, I think that's mostly it. I was thinking about reading the Afterglow out loud. Just because it's at least the Afterglow in the first issue of Heat is a really nice sum up of it and what they went through to get this in your paws. But oh god, I'd be here for all night. So yeah, so Heat 1 is awesome. You should totally pick it up if you don't have it. I wouldn't say, sadly, it's not in a digital format, because it is so good as a physical thing. Like, you know, I'd have it on my, like, I mean, I'd like to have, yeah, I'd have this one on my coffee table, you know, along with all the others, just spread out. And like, can I interest you in some good furry stories that deal with adult themes? But actually with that, the first issue of Heat, I wouldn't say deals with adult themes as good as later issues, as badly as I put it there. Because definitely later issues of Heat have stories that are a lot darker and more broader in scope than just love stories. Which I think where you can kind of sum up just Heat 1 is like a kind of early days of furry writing. It's very heavy on the love stories. It didn't really seem, I mean, from what I remember and from what I saw, there wasn't dreadfully too much. And I think a lot of the early publications were drives to definitely change that. And as I'm pretty sure, as I'll see when I go into Heat 2, which is actually, yeah, it is the one behind me right now. I've got all my Heats just here, and I'm pretty sure we'll find some more elaborate stories. So yeah, Heat obviously can be picked up from sofawolfpress.com at sofawolfpress.com. And I think the first couple are only like $14 US or something like that. That's not including shipping. Which I think was like a big kind of hurdle for me to get in all the issues of Heat. Until last year with Furry Book Month, when they actually were on sale. It's just that shipping cost. So yeah, that's Heat 1. Pick it up if you haven't. You know, compared to all the others, you know, if you're picking one or the other, nah, fuck it, no, pick up Heat issue 1. It's number 1. So yeah, one thing I actually did want to mention before I go is going through these. I want to see if I can look at Heat critically as a publication. Like, I mean, everyone kind of agrees that it's the best in the fandom, but like I would want to find out if there is anything critical you can say about Heat. And hopefully I can come to some sort of conclusion. So, yeah. So, I've been Reyfar, and I'll catch you later.